Good morning everyone. Welcome to class 19, second part of moving charges and magnetism. In the last class we studied about Oester's experiment, outcome of this Oester's experiment, rules to determine the direction of magnetic field along the current carrying conductor. That first one is right hand thumb rule, second one is Ampere's swimming rule, and third one is Maxwell's corkscrew rule. Biot and Savart's law, which gives the magnitude of the magnetic field along the current carrying conductor. Applications of Biot-Savart's law, magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor, magnetic field along the axis of circular current carrying coil, magnetic field at the center of the circular current carrying coil using the equation for magnetic field along the axis of circular current carrying coil, variation of magnetic field along the axis of that current carrying coil. Now in this class let us go through the this Biot's and Savart's law once again. In the last class we determined the equation for magnitude of magnetic field using this Biot and Savart law. Now we are going to find the direction of magnetic field using this law. As the magnetic field is a vector quantity like electric field, it is important for us to determine the direction of magnetic field. So the equation for magnetic field is given by dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into I dl sin theta by r square. Now here it should be expressed in a vector form to determine the direction of magnetic field. Here current is a scalar quantity and dl is the length element along which the current is flowing. So here we can consider this dl as the vector quantity because this dl carries the current in a specified direction. So we can treat this dl as the vector quantity. Now multiply and divide this equation with radius vector in numerator and denominator as well. So radius vector is the distance from this dl to the point P. So it always points away from this dl. So if you divide multiply and divide that this equation with r, then we can get mu naught ideal sin theta r by r cube. So mu naught ideal sin theta r by r cube. So we know very well in 11th class we studied that AB sin theta that can be expressed as A bar cross B bar. Similarly here dl and r can be expressed in vector form as dl bar cross r bar by r cube. So dl bar cross r bar by r cube. Here dl is acting along this r. So we can express this in vector form. So as it is a vector, it is having the direction, resultant direction. So what is the direction of this magnetic field? So again moving on to this equation for A cross B. If A bar and B bar are the two vectors, then C bar is equal to A bar cross B bar. The direction of C bar will be perpendicular to both A bar and B bar. Here dl is pointing in this diagram, dl is pointing in vertical direction, and assume that r is pointing along x-axis, horizontal direction. Then b bar is having the direction along z-axis, perpendicular to both dl and r. So here in specifically if you want to find the direction of magnetic field, apply right hand thumb rule. So place your thumb along this dl, then curling of your fingers gives the direction of magnetic field at this point P. So here if you curl your fingers into the plane of the board, if you place the thumb in upward direction, then the curling of fingers will be into the plane of the board. So if the direction of magnetic field is into the plane of the board, that can be expressed with this cross symbol. Here the magnetic field is coming out of this plane of the board, so it is expressed with dot symbol. If you see this here clearly, dot indicates the emerging magnetic field and cross indicates the magnetic field which is going into the plane of the board. So this is the method to determine the direction of magnetic field. Now Biot-Savart's law can be used to calculate the direction of magnetic field and as well as the magnitude of magnetic field. Let us see this case once again along the axis of the circular current carrying coil. I think derivation, it is easy for you to understand this derivation part, but you may get doubt why this phi is defined with this vertical along this q, and for q dash it is defined here. So in order to understand this diagram clearly, I want to show one small activity. Assume that this is the circular current carrying coil. If you place your palm on this circular current carrying coil, then thumb indicates the direction of the current on the upper part of this coil. If thumb indicates the direction of this current flowing through that coil, then the direction of magnetic field at this point P can be determined by using this indicator. Similarly, if you go through the diagram once, here DL is pointing out, so the direction of magnetic field at this point will be as shown in this indicator. So that can be determined using this Q. And if phi is the angle subtended at this horizontal line, then numerically that phi is equal to this phi. So we can resolve this magnetic field into horizontal and vertical components dB cos phi and dB sin phi. Similarly, for the lower part, the DL points into the plane of the board, then magnetic field will be pointing in this direction along Q dash, like this. So if the direction of current is pointing into the plane, then direction of magnetic field will be pointing in this direction. So again, this magnetic field can be resolved into components dB cos phi along vertical direction and dB sin phi along horizontal direction. So if you resolve this into components, dB cos phi pointing in opposite direction, so they can be cancelled out, and remaining magnetic field is due to that sine component. So remaining derivation you did it in the previous class. To give the clarification of defining this Q, I have given explanation by using a small activity. Now we can apply Biot and Savart's law for a different current carrying conductors and we can determine the direction and magnitude of the magnetic field for this combination. In this first basic example is current flowing through the semicircular this combination, semicircular wires when combined like this. So a simple formula to determine the magnitude of magnetic field is along the semicircular part. We can give it by mu naught I by 2r into phi by 2 pi. So the 2 pi is the angle subtended by this arc at the center. If you want to remember, you can remember that formula. If you forget the remember, then there is another way to determine the magnitude of magnetic field at C. We know very well, if it is a circular current carrying coil, the magnitude of magnetic field at the center will be mu naught I by 2a that we derived previously. Let me show that equation first. After deriving this equation, I have given one small case. So this is the case. Magnetic field at the center of the circular current carrying coil is mu naught I by 2a, where a is the radius. So here I can use that it as mu naught I by 2r. Apply that formula and you can determine the magnetic field at the center C. So assume that current is flowing in this direction. The direction of magnetic field can be determined by using a right hand thumb rule. So in order to determine that one, you can curl your fingers according to this direction of current flow. Then obviously the thumb will point into the plane of the board. So the direction of magnetic field due to this R1 will be into the plane of the board. Similarly, the direction of this magnetic field due to this R2 will be out of the plane of the board. You can curl your fingers in this direction so that your thumb will point out. So the direction of magnetic field will be out of this plane for this R2. So here it is a combination. So we have to consider the resultant magnetic field. One magnetic field is pointing into the plane, other magnetic field will be pointing out of the plane. So the resultant magnetic field will be the subtraction of the individual magnetic field values. So mu naught I by 2r1 into mu naught I by, as it is a semicircular part I already mentioned, so it will be half of mu naught I by 2r. So 1 by 4 into mu naught I by r, or mu naught I by 4r. Here out of r1 and r2, 1 by r1 is a bigger one and 1 by r2 is smaller one. So I can write mu naught I by 4 into 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. Then what is the direction of resultant magnetic field? Here 1 by r1 is a bigger one, so the magnitude of that magnetic field is directed into the plane. Resultant magnetic field will be directed into the plane. You may get doubt that there will be contribution of this magnetic field due to this straight line. So the contribution of magnetic field due to this straight current carrying conductor, we can consider it as 0, because here dl and r both are parallel to each other, so sin theta value becomes 0. Here also dl and r both are anti-parallel to each other, in that case also sin theta will be 0. So for this type of structures, semicircle or arc, whatever it may be, there will be contribution of magnetic field due to that arc or semicircular part only. There is the magnetic field due to this linear part becomes 0. Similarly, if you see this diagram, here this is a arc of the complete circle. If you have the angle subtended by this arc at the center will be 90 degrees. You can use that equation, or if you consider this part, it is a 1/4 part of the complete circle. So magnetic field at the center will be 1 by 4 of mu naught I by 2r. So it will become mu naught I by 8r. So 1 by a is bigger than 1 by b, so I can write mu naught I by 8 into 1 by a minus 1 by b. And it is an interesting point to remember the direction of magnetic field, resultant direction of magnetic field. If you curl your fingers according to this direction of flow of current is flowing in this direction, so anti-clockwise direction. So if you curl your fingers in anti-clockwise direction, thumb will point out. So the resultant magnetic field will be outwards for this structure. Similarly, here if you see this part, current is flowing from bottom line like this, traveling towards semicircle, and again it is flowing in this direction. This part can be divided into 3 cases. In the first case, it is traveling horizontally towards negative x direction. After that, semicircular part, and it is traveling in a positive x direction. So this is first, second and third part. Third and first parts, we can assume that the case for a straight current carrying conductor. Here the one end of the conductor is coinciding with the center, so the angle we can consider it as 0, and the other part we can consider it as 90. Similarly, here also one end is coinciding with the center, so the angle will be 0, phi 1 will be 0, and other part will be 90. Then we can use mu naught I by 4 pi a into sin phi 1 plus sin phi 2. Let us see the diagram first. If you see this diagram, it will be you will get a clear idea. This is straight current carrying conductor, and if this center of the circle somewhere it will coincide with the center, then this phi 2 becomes 0. This point P, if it comes to the upper part and assume that it is the center of the circle, then phi 2 becomes 0 and phi 1 becomes 90. Similarly, if this phi 1, if this P coincides with the second end of the wire, then phi 1 becomes 0 and phi 2 becomes 90. You have to assume in that manner. Then you can it will be easy for you to simplify that equation. So the equation for this third and first parts will be mu naught I by 2 pi a into mu naught I by 2 pi a, and here it is mu naught I by 2 pi a, and the semicircular part is mu naught I by 4r, mu naught I by 2 pi r, mu naught I by 2 pi r, and mu naught I by 4r. If you simplify that one, you will get this equation. So try to do on your own, or else I will explain in the next class. If you feel that doubt in that query sheet, I will explain that in the next class. And this is another application I want to give. So try to do and check with the previous answers. Here I don't want to give the answer, so try to do on your own. Every part is very well known to you. This is one semicircle and this is another semicircle. So try to do it and find out the resultant magnetic field value and as well as the direction of that magnetic field. This is another case. Here arc is given and angle is given. Angle value is not given, so no need to bother about the angle. You can directly write the value of this theta. You can directly write the theta in that magnetic field equation, and you can write the value of magnetic field. Next one is, after completing Biot and Savart's law, next important law relating to this magnetic effects is Ampere's circuital law. So Ampere's circuital law states that magnetic field intensity or intensity of magnetic field along an imaginary closed path is equal to the product of the current enclosed by the path and permeability of the medium. This I can say that it is a closed integral. V bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught into I. Let us see the proof for this Ampere's law. Assume that current carrying conductor, straight current carrying conductor of uniform shape. If current is flowing through this conductor, there will be uniform circular path of this magnetic field. So if you apply Ampere's circuital law, B into integral dl is equal to mu naught into I. So if you apply this integral to this closed path, you will get the circumference of the circle B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught into I. So I can write it as B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. So this is the equation for magnetic field along the circular current carrying coil. If you want, you can cross check this result with the straight current carrying conductor equation for magnetic field along the straight current carrying conductor, which we did it in Biot and Savart's law. So if you apply this case to the Biot and Savart's law, phi 1 phi 2 both becomes 90. So sin phi 1 plus sin phi 2 becomes 1 plus 1, which is 2. So mu naught I by 4 pi r into 2. So you will get the same result. So this is the proof for the Ampere's circuital law. So this is a small case we want to consider here in order to determine the polarity of that pole. When polarity of the circular current carrying coil basing on the direction of current flow in that coil. If the coil contains the current flow in anti-clockwise direction, that polarity of that phase will be north pole. If you want to check this one, you can curl your fingers according to this direction of current flow. If you curl your fingers according to the direction of current flow, thumb will point out. So it will be similar to the north pole where the magnetic lines of force are coming out of that pole. So if current flows in anti-clockwise direction, the polarity of that current loop will be north pole. Similarly, if the current is flowing through that coil in clockwise direction, curl your fingers according to the direction of current flow, then thumb will point in. So the polarity of the magnet when the lines of force are entering into that phase will be a south pole. So that phase of that coil gives south pole. So when current flows in anti-clockwise direction, the phase gives north pole, and when current flowing through the clockwise direction, current flows in the clockwise direction, that phase gives the south pole for that coil. So we have seen Ampere's law and as well as Biot-Savart's law. But what is the difference between this Ampere's law and Biot-Savart's law? Where we can use this these laws in a particular cases. Biot and Savart's law we can apply to the complicated structures where unsymmetric distribution of magnetic field is there. But Ampere's circuital law we can apply to the symmetric structures of that magnetic field alone. So we can define the Ampere's law where there is an Amperean loop which can be generated due to this symmetric manner of magnetic field. But Biot and Savart's law we can apply to unsymmetric structures also. Once again we can say Ampere's law can be applied to the symmetric current carrying conductors, and Biot-Savart's law can be applied to unsymmetric current carrying conductors. So finally we studied in this class about Biot-Savart's law, determining the direction of magnetic field using Biot and Savart's law, applications of Biot and Savart's law for different current carrying structures, Ampere's circuit law, proof of Ampere's circuit law, difference between Ampere's law and Biot-Savart's law. In the next class, we are going to find out the applications of Ampere's law. Thank you.